Hi, Rich.
Welcome to another episode of what is this? 80 and up? Is that what we're calling it? Where a guest is almost 80.
What
Is that what we're calling it now?
Hey, I'm
what
70.
is-
Don't push me too hard. Don't push me too hard.
Oh, you don't look. They look 59 and a half. I don't see that.
yeah.
So, how's your wife doing? She's waiting in the car.
She's downstairs putting out some bear traps.
Do you know
Fuck
how to
gravity.
do the rotate thing on the phone too? The rotate lock? Or no?
Do you know the grind of
Where's
the
the
mashed potato?
rotate lock?
You swipe down. It's in that same place. So you swipe
Well-
down, and then there's a little thing that looks
Swipe
like a
down what?
corkscrew
Here, right?
on the top. Yeah, on the top of the screen. Yep.
Well, that's it for our show tonight, everybody. And hope you have a good week. And let's dig it out here.
Where? Oh, the corkscrew. I
um,
don't see a corkscrew, man.
Yeah, nah, that's all right. I mean, as long as we got the connection going like this, I can forgive you. You just being straight up and down. It's not a problem. We can rock and roll this way.
Okay, man.
Ritch Shydner, I've known you a long time, my friend.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. How you, Dom?
I'm good to see you. You know, you're always a badass with the. I remember you walking in. You were like a different kind of. Before you guys got into New York, you were talking about your mother. And then you came in all with the collars up, looking to beat. They're going to beat the bartender up. When did you start? When did you start the improv and catch and all them?
I moved to New York in '79, and
I should.
Garvin's open in Washington D.C. and I was down in D.C. I've been doing it for like 2 years down there, and then I met all those comics, Glenn Hirsch, Overton, everybody, Schiff, Gilbert. I met them all and then moved to New York shortly thereafter. I was like, if I want to do it, I got to go where like the best players are there, right? Got to go play against the best.
Yeah, you had to come out in one of those cities. Then San Francisco and Boston kind of had their own gigs for a while.
They had their own scenes too. Houston had a scene, Philly had a scene. We had a scene in DC. Lewis Black was down there for a while. Rooney, Kevin Rooney, Ron Zimmerman, Bill Masters, John Heyman. We had a scene, but it was New York. It was New York then at that time.
What were the big clubs in DC that you would?
There was only one. It was Garvin's, and it was down in Southeast. It was a bar, a little bar. It was a little. I mean, like 80 people.
How far southeast?
All the way southeast, like the word
southeast.
Yeah, you drive along Pennsylvania Avenue until you got scared. That's the directions. Those were the directions. Yeah, it was like a country western bar when we took it over. But Paul Brookman was the son, and he started to do comedy.
Remember, he had the gun. Didn't he have a gun on his tape?
No, I was Harry at Garvin's up in that was the Northwest. So that was up on Connecticut Avenue, and Harry had a gun. Sometimes he'd reach for his cocaine, and he'd be so messed up he'd bring out the gun instead. Right?
Was he one of the guys that would give you cocaine or your fee?
No. He was never that guy. That was John Cochran out in Ohio was one of those guys. Kirkland Teeples up in Michigan. There were guys that offered you cocaine instead of money, and I go like, look, man, you beat me enough on the pay. Now you're going to beat me with coke too.
Yeah, right.
You're stepped on overpriced cocaine. Now that's going to be my pay.
See, you used to come in, you guys, and talk about these gigs, and I had no idea. Warren, Ohio. Do you remember that?
Oh, Warren, Ohio was unbelievable because
I couldn't get it. I couldn't get it. So I was thinking, I don't know, for no reason, I would go, I look at you guys, go, wow, those guys really made it. They made Warren, Ohio. Where the fuck's Warren, Ohio?
Well, that was the whole thing. You know what Warren, Ohio was? It was the center of the mob in Ohio. That's all the trucking routes went through there. It was a total mob place.
I didn't know
Dom,
that.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I go after the show. I go, well, I guess that's it, right? There's nothing to go. No, what do you want? What do you want? Steak, lobster? What do you want? And they took me to these after-hour joints. We're gambling and food and bar, and it went all till dawn.
So it's not far from Youngstown. So it would have been kind of off 80.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at the map right here. A little Warren, Ohio. Huh. Interesting.
Dom, Jimmy Miller can tell you he was a bagman for Pittsburgh, right? They used to go down there. All those clubs, the money went to Warren. Warren was the center.
Wow, I never knew that.
Cleveland.
Like a bagman isn't a term that is used often anymore. Was that a cash guy? The guy carrying the cash?
Yeah, Cat and Cash. That week's receipts were driven down to Warren.
I never heard anybody talk about these guys are the headliner, and I thought the headliners were Sammy Davis Jr. and Bob, those kind of guys. I didn't know they were. Never I heard of who the fuck is this?
They were so desperate for acts. If you could do 45 minutes without dipping into where you're from, because when you did where you're from in Warren, they go, "I'm from Warren. Do some jokes, funny boy."
Right. Yeah.
Where you work? I work in that factory right there. You drove by on your way to the club. That's where we all work. Do some jokes. Yeah, if you could do 45 minutes, you were a headliner back then. And selling drinks. Remember that? That's because there was no limit on the shows back then. So they were just out for selling drinks. So guys like Ollie Joe Prater and John Fox, they drank with the crowd and they sold more drinks, and they were the most popular comics for the club owners.
Okay.
There was no Mothers Against Drunk Driving in the early 80s.
Yeah. Guys used to just drink and drive all the time back then.
Oh, they'd send a whole fleet of drunk drivers out into the night. Do a 3-hour show. They're drinking all night. If you're drinking before they get to the bar, they're drinking. Yeah.
Those were the days, huh?
A lot of guys died.
Yeah.
That's the end of the show, folks. Take care. Thanks. I felt so safe in Philadelphia and New York with the whole what's his name?
Gilbert.
Gilbert. Yeah.
Oh my God! Did you ever hear about Gilbert's audition? How he auditioned at Catch?
No.
Mm-hmm.
He pulls a number at Catch. Belzer's the MC. So Richard Belzer's the MC. So Gilbert pulls a number, and this is Mike Dugan, who just passed, told me this story, and he said, so Gilbert presents himself as a stuttering guy who's mentally deficient. Let's put it that way. What are you going to do? Comedy, right? I mean, that's what he does. He presents himself, goes on stage and does that.
Mm-hmm.
Does that for 5 minutes, right? At the end, he stops. He goes, and that's been my set. Thank you very much. And he walks off. And they were all, and he managed to get laughs doing the stuttering thing. He managed to get the laughs. And then when Belzer realized it was all act, he was like, walked over and says, "Oh, you're in. You come back tomorrow night. You're on."
Belzer was a very cool guy. He looked like a killer, but he was just really, very cool, unraveled guy. It's like,
yeah.
Belzer's the guy. He got his first big gig when he was 50, right?
Law and Order.
The
Law and Order.
Yeah.
Although
that's where I knew him from. As a
a
kid, just seen him on Law and Order, and he seemed always like smooth, kind of.
Yeah, he was so. He ruled that Catch. Because that was a time when he was the MC, and at Catch, the MC decided who went on next. So Belzer decided who would on, or if Belzer wanted to do 20 minutes between acts, that's what he would do. And he did killer crowd work. It was his room. It was totally his room. It was like Robin Harris at the Comedy Act Theater in LA back in the 80s. He was like that kind of guy. He just owned that room.
They gave us 10 and they gave Belzer 20. And I thought, man, he made it. He made it. 20 bucks. Where's he going? Some restaurant now?
So when would he have been hosting Catch?
The 70s. He was there when I got there.
So you think it was like early 70s, like 73 or?
I think that's when he got there. He did this movie called Groove Tube, which was a cult movie, and then I think he went over and started doing stand up, and then Catch
Groove
Rising
Tube
Star
was 74 is when he did. Groove
Okay,
Tube.
so somewhere in there he did that, and then he started doing stand up, and Catch a Rising Star was there, and he just had he did impressions. He did great impressions, and his one thing was the Rolling Stone. Jagger he did a Jagger.
The chicken. He did that thing.
So he'd come on stage. Had a little 3-piece band there, right? You remember that, Dom? A little 3-piece band.
Yeah.
And so they'd bring him on every night to start the show. They'd bring him on playing Jumpin' Jack Flash, and then Belzer come out, coming through the audience, and he'd jump up on stage and start doing his Jagger impression, sing a few bars, and then welcome to Catch a Rising Star, and he'd start tearing the audience. Well, one night he over-medicated. Downstairs was the drug den there, downstairs. So he over-medicated a little bit before the show, and when he came running onto the stage, he missed the first step and went boom, down, like bam, face planted. And the piano player, Eddie's He's looking back, and Belzer's not getting up. So finally, he's doing a head movement, like, "Come up here, get him!" You know.
Mhm.
So a bunch of comics go up, pick him up, and carry him off. Kelly Rogers goes on stage. "Welcome to Catch Rising Star," as if nothing had happened. As if nothing had happened. Shark's teeth. One pops out, another one pops in.
Was that whole thing about the mafia going after one of the Joe Piscopo? Was that true? Any truth to that?
It was my last job was cleaning out apartments down in the village because they were rehabbing all these places. They were selling buildings for $1, but you had to bring it up to code
Jesus.
and make it rentable, right? They're all squatters down in the village.
Yeah, because it was what I guess tenements, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
They,
all these
eventually,
tenements,
like from the
right,
40s or earlier, I
Right.
guess. Yeah.
right. So the mob was started buying all these buildings, right? The guys were buying these buildings and they were rehabbing them. And I was working with these guys because I lived in one of the apartment buildings they owned, and at first they said, "Can you do carpentry work?" And I lied. I said, "Yeah." And they figured that out. I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
So they said, "Can you clean out apartments?" I thought they meant like go sweep out apartments, right? Go sweep them out. They meant like, no, throw the people out who are in there now. And that's what we did. And then one night I'm at Catch Rising Star on stage, and one of those guys who I worked with stood, "Hey, Richie, hey, right in the middle of the show, like nothing, just stood up. Hey, there he is. I told you he was a funny guy. All right. You know, like wait till I finish. You know, mob guys were the Seinfeld got a glass thrown at him. Piscopo got popped. You know, and the guys who popped him went right back and sat down. Said something. They didn't get kicked out. They didn't. Nobody said, "Hey, you know, you can't beat up the axe."
Any idea what either one of them said, Seinfeld or Piscopo?
Well,
what happened?
Seinfeld's story, which is in that book that Schiff and I put out called "I Killed." Seinfeld had a thing. If guys were talking, people were talking in the audience, Jerry would stop talking. So then the people would be embarrassed because they realize everybody in the room is looking at them. Everybody would look.
It's like
at
what a
them.
teacher does. Like some
Right.
teachers do that,
right? So these guys are not the guys you want to embarrass like that. So a drink went flying by Jerry's head, and it's like, get Jerry off stage, give him some money, send him home. Don't come back for a couple of days. You know? And I think Piscopo did one of those. You know, he's doing crowd work, and he said, "Hey, you guys look like a couple of hitmen from New Jersey."
Ooh,
They were.
wrong thing to say.
Ding, ding, ding. We got a winner and we got a broken nose.
I remember this guy down in Atlantic City. You know, so I did the stupidest thing. He goes, I go, hey, Sal, before we go, why don't you and I get together and kill a couple people? Nothing. the fuck, nothing. And he took like 2 minutes and he went, "My man, come here." I thought I was fucking dead.
It's that long pause. You go, "Oh,
Yeah.
no."
So
No,
did you guys meet in New York in the 70s? Would that have been the same time you went up there too, Tom, or were you in the 80s that you went up there?
Yeah, I in 1980. Don't you read the trades, man?
Nah, I mean, that was such a long time ago. I was born in 91. You know, I'm not really.
Whoa.
I'm not hip to that. You know, it's
My girlfriend, how long?
what a history
That's what my
book. You want me to
girlfriend-
pull out a history book? I don't know how old she is, Dom. It's not nice to ask.
Much less. She's young. She's 30, 32.
Same age as me, Dom. Good for you.
There's a little difference.
My wife is 73.
Tell her to come up.
I'd like to see how that worked. How that works.
Yeah. So you said it was in the 80s. So was Belzer still? Was he still doing comedy, Dom, when you were there too?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he was the top of his game then.
Hulk Hogan dropped him on his head.
Oh, he did, right?
Yeah, I was sitting. Carol Leifer and I were sitting in the living room in West Hollywood, watching the show live. And when I put him in the headlock when we put Belzer's head in there, and when I saw Hogan flex his arm like that, and then I saw Belzer's arms waving, and then dropped to the side limp. I went, "He's out." And Hogan just dropped him on a, you know, and when Belzer jumped up, he had his eyes were spinning, but he had enough showbiz to go, "We'll be right back." And he turned around, blood was gushing out of the back. He said you could see it on TV. That's
So what show was it that he was doing? That was live?
He was hosting an afternoon talk show.
Oh.
It was his afternoon talk show, and we were watching it because we were supposed to be going as guests. Eventually we were going to go on as guests. So you're watching it, going like, let's watch the show, right? And it's Belzer anyway. You want to see it, and he did one of those things where he challenged those guys. It was Mr. T and Hulk Hogan, and he challenged them, saying, it's fake. Let's just admit it. It's fake, right? Wrestling's fake.
Oh boy.
He got tuned up, huh? So that's what it was.
He got tuned up, but he also got a house in France out of it.
How did that happen?
The lawsuit.
Oh, right.
He sued Hulk Hogan and got a house in France.
What a pussy. And who was the wife at the time? Was it
Harley? I think her name was Harley.
Your wife at the time.
Carol Leifer. You know who it was.
Well, I wanted to ask you, this is a very interesting story. Carol is one of the creators of Seinfeld, I guess, or at least the top runner on it. Very nice, very funny, and very aggressive, fun-loving.
Aggressive, Tom. Aggressive?
She was, you want to tell this?
Go ahead.
I think they got married, and then she turned gay, 15 minutes after they were married.
No, that's not true. It wasn't until after we got divorced.
So was this not a plot also in Seinfeld with Susan? Was there any? Is there any?
Look, how many comics come up? They would say, this is way back when it happened. They go, "Did you turn her gay?" And I'd say,
yeah, right.
Did you ever think that I kept her straight longer than any other guy could have? Did you ever think about that?
That's true. That's true. Why is everyone always looking at it from the negative light? Rich, I like that.
Yeah, of course. You got to stand up for what you stood for.
Yeah. So, I mean, did she
exhibit any tendencies when we were married?
I guess
is that what you're going to say?
I mean, yeah, I just got married. Is there anything I should know? Anything I should look for?
Well,
you did the right thing. You moved to San Francisco, right?
I might have missed. At that stage of my life, I might have missed it. I was drinking a lot and doing a lot of blowing mushrooms, and I might have missed it. But there was nothing obvious, and I didn't come home and find any scenes or anything. No.
Well, I guess I'm really more interested about her connection to Seinfeld. Seinfeld's, my favorite show, and the only reason I wanted to work with Dom is because of the nostril episode.
The money's still coming in from that. Was it $50?
I play the DVDs, Dom, every once in a while for you, just so you get more checks coming in.
Ring up those checks for the DVD.
Well, we were all surprised.
Was it season 5, season 6? What season were you on the DVD?
Right in the middle, I think, when it really started getting hot.
Season
when
4?
Lisa was in it. Yeah. Lisa, Mike, before she turned gay. No, but she was on the show. She was the baby. Remember that one?
Yeah.
Come and look at the baby.
Yes. You gotta see the baby.
Hello. How are you?
So, what do you think?
That's your ex-wife, right?
Yeah. I started an improv group there, but we were so broke. I decided to do stand-up. But the only reason was because we had money. They would give us
from spot pay.
We get $60. I don't know what the tips were then, but we used to walk home. We had an apartment for $145. Can you imagine? Right out of hard New York, but it was fucking hard. I thought you just go on and you could just keep getting jabs. Everybody's funny, And I never knew any of the back stuff. You seemed to have a crowd around you. You were very more social than me. Like at the Improv in those places, somebody walked in, you were the one they knew. I said, what's he doing? What's he connected with?
Because I worked all the time, because I was on stage all the time. You know that, Dom. I mean, I was there, comic strip. If we came back from a Jersey gig, some guys would just go to the bar, figured they got their $55 they're done for the night. I'd go to Buckles. When can I get on here? I'd call across town. When can I get on there? I was just out all the time. That's all it was.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I didn't realize that, how much time it took to do an act, because being from improv, I do it and they're all doing the same thing they did last night. I go, what the fuck? I thought they were improvising every night.
I know. I didn't know when I first started that you could do this stuff again.
Yeah,
I
no,
didn't
this
know it
is
either.
great.
Yeah, when I
Yeah,
first
it was
started working in a club, yeah, I had no idea.
Yeah,
How long
right?
did it take you guys to write the first, 5 minutes, like the good 5 minutes? Or I mean, how long were people like spots in the city? Were they 5 and 7 minutes? Or
I started in DC, so I had to find my own places. There were just fine
right?
places to get on. I was going on like singer songwriter nights and pubs and stuff, or wherever I could, before there were any places even open. So I just had found places. That's all that I could get
Rich,
on.
Rich, tell about the book you have written now. That I
Oh,
think you,
Kicking Through the Ashes. That's the story that I had. I mean, my first paying gig was opening up for the Ramones, and so a lot of my stuff when I first started, I got into opening up for bands in DC, and I
Oh,
got
okay.
I got a lot of stage time that way, and I was like learning as I was getting like $50 or $70 or whatever, which was a lot of money to me at the time.
There you go.
Yeah,
It's a book right here,
yeah,
Kicking Through the Ashes.
yeah.
I'll have to check it out.
we had a guy went to a party at your house, and kind of tripped out and then never came back the same.
You
Rich,
know,
remember him?
Look, we're getting. I wish I had the photo I could show you. The guy we met Mike Kane. Remember Michael Hampton Kane?
Sure.
Him and I met a guy in a cabbie who actually made acid. He was a chemist, right? He was a part-time chemist or whatever. He was making Osley acid, and it was orange barrels, these little orange barrels. So when I'd held parties, I field tested this stuff, and I said a half a dose. You take a half a barrel, right? So this one guy, he's we're tripping, and he comes up to me, and I had dropped a half hour before the party started. So he comes over to me and he goes, I want to trip. I said, give me a half a barrel, right? So he comes back to me later and he goes, hey man, I'm not getting off. It's like 5 minutes later. I said, you got to give it. You'll come on, man. I'm coming on right now. You'll come on. Don't worry. And so what I didn't know what he did was he went over to another guy who I sold some acid to and got another half barrel from him. So next thing I know, I'm full on tripping, and his date comes up to me and says, you got to come talk to him. And I go down there and he's like, are you Rich? And one of those, I said, he's
boy.
gone. Are you Rich? I said, I'm Rich. He said, are you, I'll just make up a name. Are you Mike? He's am I Mike? I said, you're Mike. I'm Rich. He goes, you're Rich? Am I Mike? And one of those exchanges, right? Like who's on first, but it ain't moving. It ain't moving. The bit's not moving along. It's just Mike, Rich, Mike, Rich, Mike, Rich, So I told her, I said, look, get him out of here. And I had niacin because I know this is
niacin, like
bring
it brings you down. Yeah,
bring
yeah,
you down.
yeah,
Will
yeah,
bring
yeah.
you down.
Yep.
So I gave her niacin to give to him. I said, give him some niacin, take him home. There's too much. We're like, we got music blasting. Everybody's tripping. The
Did you
lights
say
are
this was
going.
Michael Caine?
No, Michael Caine, not the actor Michael Caine you think of. He was a guy with us in New York. But he's the one that we got the acid. But this guy who's overdosed, Dom knows who he is, and we're not mentioning the guy's name. We're not going to embarrass the guy.
No, I don't know what he does now.
Yeah, but he ended up in Bellevue. That's where the guy ended up because she called me up. Yeah, she called me up like 4 a.m. She called me up.
Man.
He's not getting any better. I said, take him to Bellevue. You got to take him there.
I mean, that's honestly on him, though, right?
It's on him. But here's what happened. It didn't come on him right off the bat. Everybody's going, Shydner gave bad acid. He was giving bad acid.
He took two.
Yeah, but I didn't know that till later when I talked to the other guy who sold it to him at the bar in the Improv. And then I went, okay.
You want to, Paul Reiser?
Yeah.
Paul Reiser, an actor, very good actor, comedian. They went shopping or something, and Paul had an audition, and there was nobody left in the room waiting for the audition. And apparently one of the agents looks and you want to introduce on this? He says, I'm not ready. Something like a came in to produce it, and then he got the part. He wasn't even there for it.
It was Diner. The movie was Diner.
Yeah.
It was Barry Levinson. So he walks in. Barry Levinson's got an album of the 2,000-year-old man on his desk, and Reiser had it memorized. So they had a bond immediately, right?
Oh, wow. I didn't know that
Mel
part.
Brooks and the 2,000-year-old. And he did not have a role for him. He made up a role. He made up that role of the nudge. The guy, you're going to finish that?
Yeah.
He's always bumming shit off everybody. You're going to finish that? You're going to finish that? and he made up the role for him. We were in, Carol and I were down in Baltimore at the Comedy Club when they were shooting down there, and the whole cast came in to see our show. You know, Daniel Stern and Mickey Rourke and Kevin Bacon. I mean, it was all
Wow.
stars of the future. That whole
Right.
cast was stars of the future. You know.
Are you writing now, Rich? Or
Yeah. This nothing else to, you know. I don't go on stage that much anymore. I do go on once in a while, but I don't go on that much. And I just like to write, so I'm writing things.
So where you what part of the country are you in now?
I'm in North Carolina, in Asheville, North Carolina. But
Oh, okay, so that's out in the mountains, I guess, a little bit, right?
Yeah.
It's a little bit of an artsy town, though. No,
Yeah, it
Asheville?
is. You're right. It is. That's right. I do a show here Friday night. I'm doing a show, and there's a place called Black Mountain, which is 20 minutes away, and they're going to do a show there once a month. I do a stand-up history show. Did you know that, Dom?
I knew something about the connection, but
Really?
I didn't know.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have
So
to check that out.
Yeah. You would like that. It's pretty cool. It just goes from, you know, it's an original American art form. The first stand-up comic was an American, and I just go and show how it changed over the years and what it caused it to change, and you know how technology changed it. Like now, these podcasts. There's never been a greater marketing tool in the history of stand-up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
It changed everything.
they've cut everything. They've completely made network television irrelevant.
Yeah, you have. I mean, you have your own radio station,
That's
essentially.
it. Your own
And
TV station. Yeah.
Yeah, correct. You have your own TV station. You could literally do programming 24/7 if you had the energy and the money to. You know.
Yeah.
You could.
Yeah. It's amazing marketing. I mean, the comics have found their audiences
Mm-hmm.
through podcasts.
If you didn't do the Tonight Show, there at one point in your career that it ain't going to happen.
Yeah,
You know,
I mean a whole different ladder, a completely irrelevant ladder now. It's a ladder that goes nowhere. You want to take that network ladder,
Yeah,
go over
who
there
could
and
get-
get late night TV. Nobody cares about late night TV.
No,
Nobody.
okay. They'll come in here with a new guy, and he's never been to the clubs. He had like 2 million followers because of that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's incredible. I mean,
Right.
those guys are very tight with Rogan and Bill Burr, and they, you know, they would have never had these theaters open to them. I mean, they're excellent comedians.
Oh my God, they're incredible.
They never had the place to really show them off. And you can imagine people, all these guys crammed into one thing that has to be the Night Show. I mean, what the fuck, you know?
I know. But we grew up, Dom. I mean, we grew up where you'd see a comic maybe on a Tonight Show once in a while, or maybe one daytime talk show. You know, you'd see him do 4 or 5 minutes of this shot. You know, and then eventually maybe you go see one in concert once. You know, like a Robert Klein or George Carlin prior, if you were lucky, and they do a full hour. But these comics today come in preloaded with every joke form. They have so much. They've watched so much comedy before they ever hit the stage that their knowledge of it, it's incredible before they. It's bigger than ever. More comics doing bigger theaters, stadiums. It's amazing.
Do you in the show that you do, is that like you do that live on stage? The history of stand up.
Yeah.
So is it? Are there punchlines in it? Is it?
Oh
is
yeah.
So
funny,
is
funny.
it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I do old jokes that I explain them, put them in context.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'll give you an example. Back in the 1950s, right? The guys were living under the double standard. So it was all right for the guys to go out and run around, but the wife's supposed to be at home being a Virgin Mary, right?
Right.
But guys had fear. Every joke shows a fear. It's underlying it. There's a psychological fear being expressed. Mm-hmm. So there were a ton of cheating jokes, 1 million cheating jokes back in the 50s. The comics would tell about catching the wife in bed with another guy. So it's like, you know, the guy comes home. He comes home early because he knows his wife cheating. He finds his wife in bed with his best friend. He takes out a gun and shoots the guy. His wife says, "You keep that up, you're not going to have any friends left." Right? There's 1 million jokes like that. All these cheating jokes.
Got it.
Right.
So you kind of tell the history of stand-up like that, so to speak.
Yeah, and how things change, like Prohibition. Before Prohibition, it was vaudeville. Vaudeville is a thing. Prohibition opens up. and all so they outlawed alcohol. It's really incredible you can think this today. So 1920, January 1, 1920, alcohol is outlawed in the country, right?
Yeah.
So in New York City, within 2 months, there's like 100,000 bars opened up, illegal bars. Right? I mean, right? Speakeasies, you had called speakeasy. You got to go up with a code.
Yeah.
What are they going to do for entertainment? How am I going to get you to drink the rock gut whiskey I got as opposed to the guy across the street? You put on a show.
Yeah, you put Dom up, right?
You put Dom up. What's better than a comic in a show that could get raided any moment, right? You can't.
Dom,
You got to bring a whole
I
band
love
out
the
the back
thing.
door. But Dom he goes into the crowd. Dom shifts out the back, and he's ready for the next show tomorrow night.
Bada boom, bada bing, right?
I remember I couldn't get the Merv Griffin show. So I thought, fuck, I can't. I said, fuck this. I can't even get Merv Griffin. So I gave up doing the Tonight Show, and I thought because of my background is more acting than I. And I'm at the bar. I'm next, and the girls at the improv really liked me. They told this guy Jim. I never told this, Rich. I told this guy McKinney, Irish guy. He's always drunk.
Jim McCauley.
And he was the guy that booked the Tonight Show, and I didn't even know this. I mean, the girls brought him in, and he liked my set, and that's how I got the Tonight Show. I never auditioned for it because the great part was I had no nerves for it. I was nervous. I was thinking about it.
You're just doing your set, huh?
Yeah, doing myself really, and
right.
And he came, and he said, "Dom, I'm Jim McCauley." Yeah, Jim, I know you. He says, "Want to do the Tonight Show?" I go, "No, I don't want to do the Tonight Show." Of course. He said, "Well, you got it," and that was like just being in the right place, at the right time. Because if they asked me to put 7 minutes together, I go, "Fuck, what should I do?" Hey, how Italian is it going to be?
Right.
Dom, that was back then. You never approached him. The fact that he found you was how it worked. Because he didn't. First thing I heard when I got to LA was, "Don't bug McCauley. He'll find you. You get good. He'll find you." That's what Dom did. He just got good, and he found him. But if he went up and bugged him, and so many stories, Maurice LaMarche, Maurice LaMarche, he likes to tell the story that he bugged McCauley when he wasn't ready. McCauley saw him, and he didn't do well, and he can never get him to see him again.
Yeah, you can't ever get that first impression back. I think it is important still today to be, you really just have to be good and do what you think is good, and then if the right people see it, something will work out.
That doesn't change. Just get good.
Well, the thing is, I had no idea that it involved that much work. I was going to Florida every week to bathe in the sun. That really gets you ahead. And Carol Siska came up to me and she said, "What are you doing in your life?" She said, "You're going every week there. What the fuck? You gotta go do it every night." I go, "Every night's the same shit." Oh, fuck. I didn't term until I did it every night. Every fucking night, and then taking a cab across town to do. I used to set my alarm for 2:15 in the morning, go to the comic strip and go to 3:30 spot. Imagine.
Really?
Yeah. God,
3:30.
Yeah.
You do a 3:30 a.m. spot, and then what would you do? Would you go back to sleep, or would you?
Some of us had. Like I had a valet job that made a lot of money.
Oh, that's probably good. Yeah, with the tips though. I'm sure you probably did pretty good with the tips. No, or not?
1980 quarter tips, 50-cent tips.
Not at this place. This was a River Cafe. Under the Brooklyn Bridge, and a beautiful place. And the ballet dancers were coming. I was such a wise ass. I go, "Hey, Mickey, how you doing, buddy? Hey, now you could leave. Now you think you could dunk with your feet?" And he go, "Oh, get the fuck!" Like he hated me. That was a fun. That place, right?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, that was a very high.
So you would just park the cars.
Yeah, and they would always give me a 5. That was a lot in those days, and say, keep it up here. I said, "I'll put it right in the front." I couldn't do that. I put
every
it
car.
right in the every car there, and the parking lot's empty.
Every car's up front.
Now,
I did that.
have?
I did. I was a valet. That's a great job, man. Good cash.
Yeah. The people care more about their cars than themselves. Did you watch a long time, Rich, or you got it pretty quickly?
Yeah, I just hit that wave right. I came up to New York. I had a pretty good amount of material, And
You had a
I went
lot of
down,
material.
yeah, I went down to Fort Lauderdale when they opened that club. Carol got me in as the MC. I wasn't that big of a, they
Oh,
couldn't put me
nice.
down early because politics, right? They couldn't put me as one of the regular acts because they had all these guys who were regular comic strip acts. You're always identified with one club or another.
Right.
And I get on at the comic strip, but I wasn't one of the regulars.
Right.
And then from there, Kelly Rogers was on the phone. He comes, he says, listen, whatever they say you could do, tell them you can do it. And I get on the phone. This guy's got a club in Ottawa. Says, I got a club in Ottawa. Can you come up and do 2 45-minute sets? I go, yeah. If they laugh at everything I do, if they laugh at everything, sure.
Everything I ever said.
Yeah. If the wind's up behind my back, and yeah, sure. And
I can do it.
And I went up there, and this is really weird. And so I did that room, and in a week he's paying me. He goes, "Oh, this guy from Montreal wants to talk to you." And it was Ernie Butler from at a club. He says, "Same thing. Can you come to Montreal?" I went there, and then I went to Breslin's in Toronto, Yuck Yucks. And so, like 3 weeks later, I'm a headliner now. That's why I looked at myself. I'm a headliner.
Yeah, I never saw you have to start at the bottom. You were already polished and getting a lot of gigs by then.
Yeah,
but
it wasn't making it. You know what I mean. You were just
you
making
were really
enough
a headliner.
money. No, my God, no, I was no headliner really, but it was a bar gig, It's I knew how to get down and get dirty with a Jersey bar gig or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just
you and Rick Overton were the guys that had dirts that had the towels around them and the sweat. I thought I want to get to that level where I sweat dirt.
It's sweating, just like Elvis Presley, just going through towels on stage. Yeah,
I saw Aries Spears. I don't know if you guys know who that is.
Yeah,
I know.
Sure,
he went through tons of towels on stage. He was sweating like he was yelling. He was yelling.
Yeah, they put these rooms anywhere. Do you ever work the Richmond Comedy Club, Dom?
Yeah, every Saturday.
Richmond,
Richmond, Virginia.
Richmond,
right?
Virginia.
They just they were popping up mushrooms all over the place. So it's about 150 seater. It was just in the basement of this bar and no air conditioning. So, I mean, they'd have these hurricane fans, these big, huge hurricane fans on the side of the stage blowing at you. And I would be drenched, my whole shirt, my pants just soaked. And it's a summertime, right? It's in Richmond, it's summertime. It's like, it's
disgusting.
Yeah, of course. But hey, it's a show. We're doing a show.
Easy, big guy.
I was looking at some stuff on your Wikipedia page, Rich. I saw that when you were in Virginia, you were working for a congressman or something like that, and you were into politics at one point.
No, I went to law school, and
is that what it was?
I graduated. In fact, they sent the degree. I thought I'd left early, but I'd done this work for free for this woman going around and interviewing prisoners. I interviewed every state prison in Virginia for her. She was part of the National Prison Project, and it was all about inadequate counsel. The lawyer shows up drunk, or he met the lawyer right at the trial. So I interviewed all these prisoners, and she got me school credit for it, and so they gave me enough credits to pass. I mean, to get my degree. But I never did take the bar. And I never told anybody I went to law school because I didn't want anybody to know that I had any other out. I didn't want anybody to know, he could do something else. Don't give him any stage time. I wanted to look as desperate as everybody else.
That's funny.
Remember that joke? A man comes into the office. He says, "Can I use your dictaphone?" He goes, "No, you use your finger like everybody else." Remember that joke? There was a Bob Saget and this girl Kathy Ladman, and they would come up to me, and when I did it, like everybody else, right? Every day they let me get a little further, and the very last night they wouldn't let go of me. So I'm taking a bell and I go, "Everybody else!" Just you see me like pulling out. What the fuck? Good night, everybody. Everybody else.
We had so many comics at the end of their act, they would just do old jokes, old dirty jokes. I'll blow you for the toaster. I mean, I rang the doorbell, didn't I? That was one of Carol's favorites. I think they were off an album of Pearl Williams album or something.
Yeah, Dom, I feel like we might have talked about this on one of our shows. I can't remember who it was with, but really like in the Borscht Belt days, they used to just have like house jokes, right? Like they would just jokes that people would do? Yeah, Dom, it had to be you that was telling me.
Well,
This.
I don't know that much about that, but I knew about the other thing where they would sell their acts for a week or so. You know what I mean? They pay a guy, and his jokes. Did you ever hear that, Rich?
Yeah.
Pretty weird.
You know,
do
you know the guy Mitchell Waters? Remember Mitchell Waters?
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah, he would sell jokes to like 5 different comics. Same joke, he'd sell a bunch of comics. He was kind of like that. He would go around and sell his act and then keep doing his act. You know,
it's a good way to make some money. That's funny.
Yeah, but those guys would go in and they'd have they'd go on this circuit that they would do back in the 50s and 60s. They would just leave all these jokes behind. Here's all the local jokes. Make fun of this diner. Make fun of this guy that runs this business. Make fun of, here's all your local references. Here's all, talk about driving on, Maple Street, whatever. Yeah.
Interesting. It's interesting how it's changed over the years, and I wonder, what it's gonna turn into. I mean, it's definitely, internet and podcast, and definitely shorter videos. But there's always bound to be another change at some point too.
I think it's going to morph into all be sort of motivational speakers with a couple of jokes in there. That'll be it. They'll just kind of morph to like, the jokes aren't really important. It's how I make you feel. Do you feel good? Do you feel positive? Go back out into the world. So they'll all just kind of eventually just drop the shtick and just get into like making people feel good, motivational speakers with a couple of jokes.
I want negativity. So I hang out with Dom, he brings me down.
I don't know.
You'll get sick someday and die.
Thanks. Yeah. Thanks, Dom.
I was just joking. I saw this guy, is it Matt Rife? Matt Rife?
Oh yeah.
Matt Rife.
Young guy. I was joking because I saw him on stage one time and he's got a huge female following. I mean, he's obviously very popular. And there's all these women there. And then he starts talking about the woman he would date. He starts telling them they got to work out. And he just dropped the shtick. He just dropped the jokes. He just started telling them how they got to diet and how they got to work out. And he's like, he's got all of his fans getting in shape to go out with him. I think that's a great scam.
He's a great kid, but he was on my gig. And I said that I asked him for everybody. He nailed all these girls. And we got it on. And then he comes up to me at the comic store. He goes, "Can you drop that?" It was like all these really high-bred babes. And I said, "We have nothing left. That's it. You're taking all the fucking thing." He goes, "I'm sorry, man. I just get in a lot of trouble. I'm afraid we get sued and stuff." So, but it was like such a letdown. Now he's fucking gigantic. He's a good kid. He's not a good stand-up comedian, but he's using. Well, I mean, I guess he's handsome to,
You use what you got up there.
Imagine if you had those looks, Dom.
I did at one time for about 15 minutes.
You wouldn't have to be funny then. You wouldn't be funny, and that was that.
Yeah, you're right. Bruce Willis had a roast,
Mm-hmm.
and Leifer. I asked, can I use this? But it was a joke. And she wouldn't let me use it. And I like her, but it was like so how fucking selfish. It was a joke about what's it? The joke about Carol was one of Carol's favorite jokes. I'm glad I'm going to bring it up here and not remember.
A guy rings the door, a doorbell, and the madam answers the door. There's a guy laying on the step. He's got no arms, he's got no legs. She says, "What are you going to do here?" He says, "I rang the bell, didn't I?"
Right.
Big dick joke.
But she had one about that's so fucking funny. Now I'm sorry I brought it up.
Oh,
so telling people couldn't.
That's so funny when you start taking possession of old jokes. It's like, you remember the guy Richie Gold? There was Richie Gold.
Yeah.
He talked real deep, right? So it was one of those stock lines with the audience, like this is what happens when first cousins marry or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So Carol used it one night at the comic strip. So Richie Gold, we're sitting in the bar afterwards, and Richie Gold comes over. He goes, "Carol, you did my joke." She goes, "What joke?" He said, "The one where the first cousins marry." She goes, "That's a stock joke." He goes, "Yeah, but it's my stock joke."
Oh yeah, he was an asshole. I remember I worked the coat room with Danny Vitale. You go like this, and I was supposed to stick my hands in so it's not cold for him. Like I fucking hated him.
No,
Why'd they go?
he was like a disco guy. He was a total disco guy. Looked like dressed like John Travolta. He had his shirt open all the way down, and chains, and it just had that polyester kind of, the whole disco suit thing. It's a different look than a little bit not what everybody else was. Everybody else was t-shirts and jeans, and maybe they put a vest from a suit they brought at a thrift store downtown. I got the vest on top of the t-shirt and the jean look. Remember that, Dom?
Yeah. Something about a dick. You knew she was masculine. She had a dick on a beard.
Oh, yeah.
That's it.
Yeah,
the joke.
Okay. Yeah. She's had so many facelifts, pulled her snatch up to her chin. That was basically the visual of it.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, that joke. That's one of her old jokes. That was an old joke. Yeah, you're right. That was right. She used to do that all the time.
Does anybody have a light but me? I don't have my picture anymore. I used to like my picture.
The CGI, you'll look great. The CGI, the whole thing.
Thank you. Rich, thanks for coming up.
Yeah, you look good.
God bless you.
No, you look good. You look good.
Not as good as you.
Nah, no, I'm not kidding, man. I'm not kidding. You look good. You look good.
So we'll be here tomorrow and the next day some other fucking Rich, thanks for coming.
With some other somebody.
Some other old guy.
Thanks for doing the show, Rich. Well,
it was a pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, you as well.
You too.
Thanks, Brian. Thank you.
You as well. Yep.
Thanks, Rich. Appreciate it.
Right,
hey, Dom, my pleasure, Dom.
I love that guy. Yo, Dom, over here. Hey, Dom, hey.
Yo, Dom.